Hello garden lovers, I hope you're well. I just thought I'll show you my garden because we are due for another heat wave of around 30 degrees this weekend. So let me show you what's blooming in the garden, and also show you some fruit and veg that I have growing in the garden, which I never mention. But this lovely one here, you can see the tones, different variations in the age of the blooms, starting with a very coral bud, opening onto a soft orange, and then a peachy colour, ending in with a buttery yellow. This is called Natalia, very healthy rose, only the first year in my garden. Gorgeous. I do like the size of the blooms because I do think the bigger blooms tend to be quite heavy. That is gorgeous and good scent too. So that's Natalia by Fino Gino. And then we have another rose on the second flush. This is Princess Charlene of Monaco. And we do have lots and lots of buds as well. On her second flush, very beautiful rose, good fragrance, good health. And the blooms on the second flush seems to be a little smaller. That's a very good rose. That is Princess Charlene of Monaco. And the vegetables I'm growing in the garden are some courgettes. There's this one here. It's a little unusual looking. So I do have two plants here, and the flowers are very pretty also, and edible too. So this is my courgette plants. I have grown courgettes almost every year, and they do give a good crop. So that's the courgette. And let me show you my apple tree, how full of apples they are. They've been falling on the ground, which is quite annoying really, because they're just everywhere. You see on the ground. I've collected loads. But let me show you, oh, this lovely one here is Meteor. Let me see whether you can get the better bloom. This is Rose Meteor, a rose of the year. Look at the coloration on that. It's a gradient from red to orange. Beautiful rose. Let me just smell. Only a little bit of smell, but the bloom is very long lasting, and it turns very red as it ages. A very healthy plant. Let's see what we have here. We have a lovely bloom of Lady of Shalott. Look how gorgeous that is. I did compare it to Lady Emma Hamilton. This is a very healthy variety. And that is Lady Emma Hamilton in the back with this bronzy foliage, very distinctive. And the blooms are very similar. This is a little bit more ruffled and has more tones of red and reddy pink in there. That is Lady Emma Hamilton. This is a very congested area. I probably need to thin that out. The other fruits that I have grown in my garden, these are my Asian pears. I wonder whether you can see some. So I've been looking forward to that. I must thin out some because some of them are too small, and I do want bigger fruits rather than many poor quality fruits. And then we have the lovely, that's Bring Me Sunshine. Very good variety. This one is grown in full sun. I have one grown in shade, but that's not doing quite as well as this one. This one is probably on its third flush now. Excellent variety. We have some phlox here as well, and monarda bee balm at the back. So let me show you also my white border, because we haven't seen it for a few weeks and things are blooming. This one is on her second flush. This is Pride and Prejudice. It's a white rose, and look at the spray of buds on her. Very dainty soft apricot buds to begin with, and we do have some white penstemons in flower. And my Desdemona, wow, look at all those blooms. This is second flush. The blooms are smaller but very prolific. The buds start off pink and then it fades to almost white. Look at the amount of buds. It's very healthy in my garden. There's that's Champagne Moment on her second flush, and this is Lavateria, I think, and Tranquility. But the one that's most prettiest of all in this white border has to be Madame Anisette. So much growth coming, and lots of buds still. I do like the buds. They are like, that's a nice colour bud, green with hints of pink. Excellent fragrance, this Madame Anisette. Part of the perfumer collection is called Glorious Parfumer. And again, some more pears coming. We are looking at this one here. This rose has caused me a lot of embarrassment because I managed to butcher her surname. This is Heidi Klum. Last time I called her Glum, and I've also called her Gloom. So her surname does not translate well in English. I've been taught to say it's Heidi Klum. Very long-lasting bloom and very, very pretty. So let me show you a rose from David Austin that is not widely grown. This is a rose called Benjamin Britten. You see, really gorgeous, almost goblet-like bloom. Intense fragrance, and the colour is hard to capture on camera. It's actually performing very well for me this year. That is Benjamin Britten, and also another one that's discontinued. This is the Annick Rose. Really gorgeous fragrance too. And would you believe this is also a 4-year-old cutting? I will do a cuttings video in a few weeks time, how to propagate roses, because I have been quite successful with my cuttings this year. I've managed to get a lot of David Austin roses. This one here is the Chippendale rose, also known as Duchess of Cornwall. And last time I showed you these really weird buds. They were neither hips or buds. They were just like in between. Now, I think because the our British weather is really confusing this German rose. I don't think she doesn't know whether she's coming or going. So that is Duchess of Cornwall. Moving on to, this is Fruity Parfumer. Like I said, these just don't grow too well. They just seem to ball up, as is Earth Angel. I might move it to the ground this year because it hasn't done so well for me in this pot. Although it's very healthy, the blooms just seem to ball up very easily, as is this one here. This one tend to ball up. It tends to be, it takes such a long time to open, and it has trouble, the center petals just have trouble opening. But this one I think has to be the best fragrance, possibly the top of the fragrance in my garden. This is Dark Desire, also known as Royal Perfumer. And there's this one here, which didn't perform so well for me earlier in the season. We had some blooms, but they were all kind of damaged by rain. And now we have the second bloom, which is looking great. We have one bloom here, right in the middle. Now I'm not going to attempt to smell that because I'm going to scratch my eyes out. The blooms tend to bloom quite low in the bush. We do have another one here, which is also quite hard to see and smell. So this is Raspberry Perfumer, also a very fragrant rose. And the second flush is looking fantastic. Lots and lots of blooms in there. We have here a very wild looking rose. Lots of tiny blooms. It's called a ground cover rose. They just sold it as pink, yellow or white. This happens to be the pink, and it's very prolific, lots and lots of buds. It's incomparable with the Bonica rose that I have grown in the back of the fence. Very, very healthy. And this is my Timeless Purple. That's a fantastic rose. Very sturdy blooms. And we have Royal Jubilee. David Austin rose. As you can see, we've only actually just started this sunny weather and it's already not tolerating it very well at all. So the blooms are being dried out already, even before it opens. So that's the Royal Jubilee. Moving on to one that I didn't think I would keep because I didn't like the health, but very, very good fragrance. This is Blue Moon. It's a climbing blue moon. Very, very delicate color. Really lovely rose, but not for the health. So I've grown it in with some other climbing roses, which I just chopped together. I think we have Iceberg and Zephyrin Drew in this pot, in this big pot here. Yeah, really lovely fragrance. And talk about fragrance. This is Boscabelle. This is one of the most fragrant roses in the David Austin collection, I think. Really unusual color blooms. It's like a coral pink color. Not the healthiest, but definitely one of the most fragrant. Just look at that. Gorgeous rose. This one is Hot Chocolate. Look at this really beautiful orangey red blooms. There's a whole bunch there, a whole cluster. This is the second flush. Amazing color. Grown in my hot border with the vibrant colors. A very tall stem of blooms. And we have another stem at the back there that's waiting to bloom. And it picks up on this Cosmea lucifer. Some more blooms there. And let me show you my tomato plant. I've got some tomatoes growing in my flower beds. So I was just mixing up vegetables and flowers wherever I can, really. I just don't have space for a vegetable bed. Not that I grow that many vegetables anyway. Look at that. I have trimmed off a lot of the growth, so I just want to concentrate on growing tomatoes. And now I've got one lovely one there. Look at that. That is one ripe tomato. Okay, I shall end this video with a look at, I think, one of the best second flush roses here in my garden. This one is not a widely grown rose because it is only introduced a couple of years ago in the UK, and I had managed to get my hands on one very early. This one here is called Distant Drums. Has this tan on the outside and purple pink on the outside blooms. Very, very unusual. That's how the buds start. And a good scent too. Let me just smell that. Yeah, it's not a, it's quite a myrrh, earthy scent. Spicy scent. And the colours are changing from, let me just see, from the bud to a tannish latte kind of colour, and then it brings on these really, really lovely tones before ending into a very pale lilac-y pink bloom. Very open bloom. I'll just deadhead this bit for you so it looks, so you can actually see the buds. Lots and lots of buds coming. We had several new canes. Very, very lovely rose. I do highly recommend this one if you can find one. Yeah, lots and lots of canes. A little bit yellowing leaf. It is quite late in the season. But look at these blooms. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you soon.